The idea that everyone who died in the Great War should have a memorial came from a Bristol-born industrialist, Sir Fabian Ware. As a result of his vision, the Commonwealth War Graves Commission today cares for cemeteries and memorials of both World Wars at 23,000 locations in more than 150 countries. Walter Sutherland was one of the many ex-soldiers employed after the war by the newly formed Imperial War Graves Commission. His son George and his grandson Alex followed in his footsteps. When Walter started working here then, just after the war, this looked very different. What was it like?
Oh yeah, well, all wooden crosses, no headstones, it was all wooden crosses, eh? And they were still burying people, eh, when my father was here. One day, my father took a dead soldier into the mortuary, and as he entered, he had a groan. And that chap was to be buried that morning, and he was still alive. So they took him out of the mortuary, took him back in the hospital, and they saved him.
Gosh, you had a lucky escape.
Yes.
Over the years, you must both have seen some pretty moving sights. It's distressing sometimes too.
Well, yes, certainly. You meet visitors. Typical example now is if you see these school buses and the children are 12 to 13 years old, or you see a pensioner and they walk around the cemetery, you will see people crying in actual fact and being so emotional about it.
But when you feel it most, when the family come along and you see them crying by the grave, then you feel it yourself. Eh?
How important to you both has it been to work here through the years, through the decades in fact?
I can remember I was about 6 years old and listening a lot to all these visitors that was coming around. And then I decided, well, this is going to be my career in the future, even at that age.
I felt proud to follow the steps of my father. I wanted nothing else, you know. It wasn't just working and be paid. It was in my heart, you know. Yeah.
Liam is one of the older members of Libera. Today, he's travelled to the Belgian city of Mons on a very personal journey.
Being in a religious church setting when you're singing, there are times in Mass often where they give the congregation a chance to pray. And during those moments, sometimes I do think about my great-grandfather, Harry Connery, and what he did in the war. He didn't die on the front, but he suffered heavily afterwards from a mustard gas poisoning, and he died relatively young at the age of 40 in 1932, the year that my grandfather was born. So my grandfather never knew his father. Today I've been looking around at Mons, and it's weird to think that 100 years ago, my great-grandfather Harry could have been walking the same streets with other soldiers preparing to fight. Found out today that there's this statue of a monkey in the town square, and people rub its head with their left hand for good luck. So maybe my great-grandfather might have done that as he was going into battle. The fact that he was 17 when he joined the army, and he was younger than me when he did that, is quite incredible, really. My parents would tell you that sometimes I'm very difficult in the mornings and hard to get up and get out of bed and stuff. And to think that, you know, people my age were doing way more than that 100 years ago, having to get up on the front in a muddy trench, risking their lives. I don't know if I would ever be able to do what they did. It's incredible.
I wouldn't last. I'd just, you know...
Wouldn't last the day.
Yeah, it would just be so traumatic. And it's just kind of crazy, almost.
At Sanctuary Wood, the original trenches have been preserved.
A Canadian trying to catch up with his sleep opened his eyes, and what did he see? A huge rat trying to eat him.
Are there rats here now?
Probably not.
Probably.
You are safe. They are well fed.
I've got pictures of my great-uncles, because all 4 of them went into the war, and all 4 of them came back.
I don't want to see what's in here. I'm just going to close my eyes. Then just hold on to me.
This is my great-uncle Neil's diary. There was a gas attack that he was very lucky to survive. It was actually only a mile from here, and he was lucky because the wind blew the gas the other way. It was really horrible. He had to bury 5 men in that night, all suffering from gas.
Yeah, there would have been like a ledge or something. Something you could stand on so you'd be over. No, the sandbags would be up to about there. So
People would just rely on God, almost, to help them. And sometimes prayers they wouldn't be answered. And sometimes they would. And, like,
Yeah.
my great-uncles.
And my great-uncle.
And your great-uncle.